Hello, folks, and welcome to another review and thoughts. This time I'm checking out, well, I saw this before, but I decided to give the remake or reimagining of It 2017 a shot again. And, watching this again, I can see why I didn't like it again the first time. I didn't care for it. I mean, and I know this one's supposed to be, you know, these versions are supposed to follow the book. I never read any of the books or book by Stephen King, but I gotta say, like the miniseries, the '90s miniseries, you know, Tommy Lee Wallace's 1990s miniseries, I gotta say, is way better than this piece of, I don't want to say crap, because there's stuff I like in it, or stuff that I think should have been explored. I mean, the acting in this is not a problem, really. I like mostly everybody in it. Um, though I think the kid that plays Bill, like he was all right. Like most of the kids in this were just all right acting wise. Um, Even the guy plays Pennywise. I mean, Bill Skarsgård, whatever his name is, as Pennywise the dancing clown. Sophia Lillis as Beverly. I thought she was like the best actress or actor, whatever. I thought she played the best actor in the movie. Um, this one's directed by Andy Muschietti, and written by three people. Funny enough, there was actually another director attached to this before Andy. Except I guess the studio didn't like his version, where it was going to be more, I guess, a slow burn and way different than, most jump scare and horror movies that were coming out at the time. I guess the studio didn't want that, so they decided to hire this guy because he's a yes man, and he'll do what we say. But I mean, it's basically, if you saw the miniseries, it's basically the same story. Or if you read the books or book, I say books because it's like two parts. So I'm thinking it's two stories, but two books. I guess really the book is just one book. Yeah, overall, like, I didn't mind this. I mean, I guess critics really creamed themselves over it. A lot of people love this one, and they crap on the '90s version, which I'm like, why? Because Tim Curry, I'm not a big fan of him, but his Pennywise is way scarier than Bill Skarsgård's version. Even, I gotta say it, even Rambo Rat for Life. If anybody's not familiar with him, subscribe to his channel because he's awesome. But even he made a good point. Pennywise is lame in this movie to where they literally had Beverly's dad, we get vibes that like he's touching that girl. He's way scarier than Pennywise, and he's the main villain. How's that work? Like, you have really not even a secondary character. He's more of a background character, but for her storyline, it's like he's way scarier than the main baddie. How's that work? I mean, there's scenes where like he's touching on her with her hair and like, "Are you still my little girl?" and like stuff like that is way creepier and way scarier than, Pennywise jumping around and in your face like it's like annoying. I mean, and then they add like weird edits in this movie where like Beverly sees or meets Ben for the first time because he's new in town, and I guess they switched around like his. Apparently, like in the mini-series, I don't know if it's like that in the book, where Mike was the historian of the town. Now it's Ben, apparently, who's the main historian of the group now. and he knows way more about the town than Mike does, even though they changed that, I guess, for what I don't know. But then they make it in the chapter 2 where like, oh, he stayed back, I guess, and he's the historian now. Like what? And so I didn't really care for that. I do wish they kind of would have. Granted, it's not like the book, but again, I didn't read the book, so I'm going off of what I think it should have been, or what I would have liked if they went in a different direction. I would have liked it if Bill's character died. Like, there's a scene towards, like, when their final confrontation with Pennywise, where they're beating the crap out of him, and he literally grabs Bill. I would have liked it if, like, his character dies, and then it's like, where do we go from here? Because we just lost, basically, our leader of the group. I mean, technically, they're all equal, but he seemed like he's the main leading the charge. So I would have wrote it where he dies, and then we have Ben step up, or Mike step up as, the leader. Or have Beverly step up as the leader or co-leader, but, that's just my version. I guarantee people probably wouldn't have liked that, because it's not like the book. But yeah, I think they could have did something with that. I would have liked that, where, do like Last Jedi, where like you however they did it, expectations with the characters. I would have liked it if they actually did that, but no, they don't do that in here. I mean, you have Pennywise. His look is fine. I don't mind his design, but the guy playing him, like, I didn't care for much. I mean, he in spots, like, if he's silent most of the time and he's more creepy and in the shadows instead of this whole jump scare bonanza, that's even a word, or propaganda, whatever. I think it would have worked for me if he was like Tim Curry's. He was creepy. Granted, he was silly in the 90s series, but I don't know, like, he was still more scary and more creepy, because he was a bit more subtle in spots. Even like the first scene we get of him in the 90s, where a little girl's on a tricycle, and I think it's supposed to be raining or windy or whatever, and he's in the clothes thing, and like the camera like cuts off in and out on him. He has like a smile at first, so he's like welcoming at first, and then he slowly. But no, this guy, Pennywise, he decides when he first kills Georgie. I mean, granted, he's friendly at first, but then he's laughing at first, and then he just, like, I mean, how about you keep the laughter going if you're going to close, like, whatever. And then even Georgie's kind of goofy, because, like, granted, like, he lost his boat, but, like, I would have been like, you know what? Bill can kill me all he wants, but I'm not, I'm not having this. I'm gonna go now. But no, he decides to reach in, even though this clown is seriously giving off some uncomfortable vibes. And yes, the first scene when Georgie gets, killed, because they gotta make it a bit not even graphic, but a bit vicious, which I didn't mind. Granted, they shied away from that in the 90s series. I didn't mind it there, but here, like, I didn't mind it here because I liked how he dragged them. Like, you see I would have liked it more if, like, we got some shots of Pennywise either, like, in the background or. But no, we have different. It's almost like a haunted house movie where you're just seeing, like, their fears one after the other one. Like, Ben is chased by this soldier or this headless person with eggs, and then, like, running through the library basement, which that was a creepy scene, I'll give it that, but I think his scene was the most scariest. Or if in terms of Pennywise, I think that was his most scariest. But the rest of the movies, like, Beverly with the sink and the blood squirting in her face, Um, it was whatever. Like I saw that in the miniseries. Move on, do something different. Mike also, I got rant a little bit because he is barely in this movie. It's like they gave him like maybe 5 minutes of screen time at the beginning to like show. Oh, he works at a type of farm thing with sheep or whatever, and um his it's not his dad, but like his I don't know if it's supposed to be his uncle or grandfather or whoever he's supposed to be, but he's with Duke from Jason Goes to Hell. If anybody remembers that movie, I do. I love that movie. Um, but the guy that wants to chase down Jason, he's in this. He plays. I don't know who he plays as because I don't know if he's related to um, Mike or not. I'm guessing he is, but they don't really specify that. But I just assume because he's black, so he's black, and he's um. Granted, they do have some race stuff with that, but they're not like get out of my town, like with Henry Bowers' comments. I don't know, like the original version. I know I keep going back to the original version because I like the original version because this is way too much in your face. It's like way too three. It's trying to be like the next. I don't know. And yeah, wow, this movie. I guess apparently it won like a lot of awards, and oh, it's the most scariest movie of all time. How? I give The Babadook, and I give way more other movies the scariest titles of all time. Like, this is nothing. But, at least the second one I liked. I will give it, funny enough, you don't like the first movie, but you like the chapter 2? Yeah, I don't know why, but I guess because it seems like Pennywise isn't as jumpy and goofy in the second part, but maybe I'll realize he is in that one. But yeah, the movie overall I didn't care for. Like it starts off in October of '88. Pretty much Georgie. I did like the little scene they did have with Georgie before he goes out with the boat, where he talks to Bill. I did like their brotherly bond scene, little exchange. I did like that. But then he goes outside and it's storming, and pretty much it falls into a drain. He attempts to try to retrieve it. Georgie sees a clown in the drain, and that's where we get Pennywise. And the scene where I'm like, I liked where we first see Pennywise. He's in the shadows. We always see his eyes, and then he slowly pops up. But then this stupid music that has the jolt scare. I'm like, didn't need that. It could have been more silent, but whatever. I know I keep ranting, but it's like because there's like missed opportunities you could have did with this. I like to see the other guy's version versus Andy's version. Of course, Pennywise kills Georgie, and then Bill pretty much believes that Georgie's not dead, he's just missing, and like they don't really talk much with the parents. Like the parents in this town are kind of weird. Let alone all the adults really in the town is kind of weird. Like there was one scene where, and apparently I guess all the guys, I guess Stan, Richie, Ben, or not Ben, but Bill, Stan, and Richie. Apparently, I guess they're all buddies. Which I'm like, already? Okay. At least in the original, like, they weren't all friends right off the bat. They all met each other and then bonded over building a dam. But no. But yeah, pretty much we get that. And then... Oh, and Eddie. I forgot Eddie. Or did I say? I forget now. But pretty much the following summer, Bill and his friends Richie and Eddie and Stan, they run into the bully Henry Bowers, who's pretty much the neighborhood psycho. They try to give a reason for his whole thing. I don't care. I still don't like that kid because he literally tries to murder a few people. He kills his own dad, which I'm like. I mean, granted, like the guy was a douchebag and probably abused him a lot, but still, like you don't need to take it out on people. And even like his cronies or whoever, his pawns. Like the one guy looks like he's Roderick from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. He looks like the guy that might have would have been a stand-in for Roderick if he got the part, but he didn't. So he's the he's the cosplay of Roderick. Pretty much. Then we get introduced to them. There's a line of dialogue between the boys where they're talking about the missing kids around town, and it was sad to me where the camera cuts to a mom waiting for her kid to come out of I guess her daughter to come out of the school. I thought that was sad because it's like she's not gonna see her coming out of the school. Like she parks there every day, I guess after when school's out, waiting for her daughter or son to come out, but they never do. So I thought that was really kind of a pretty haunting scene that they kind of just gloss over. They mention it and then that's it. And pretty much that. Still haunted by Georgie's disappearance, pretty much calculates that his brother's body may have been washed up in a mushy wasteland called Barrens. Pretty much he recruits his friends to investigate. Pretty much Ben, and this is when we get introduced to Ben. And Beverly is, I guess, called the town hoe. She's supposed to be like 14. But yeah, she gets bullied and rumored, and pretty much she joins the group along with Ben, developing feelings for her throughout the movie. But then there's a scene where it's in the trailer where Pennywise, where they're going through the I forget what they're called. Those film things where you flip the thing and it's on the screen. I forget. But they're doing that, and like Ben opens up the garage door and Pennywise goes away. And she's like, "Thanks, Ben," but then she hugs Bill, and I'm like, wow. And then but yeah, pretty much Mike has a hallucination of his parents dying in a burning building. And that's when we get the comic "Get Out of My Town" by Henry Bowers. And pretty much he joins in. He's not even in the movie for a good long chunk of the movie. After that, he's like he's like non-existent. And then it's only when Beverly or somebody mentions or sees his bike and Henry Bowers' car, and they're like, "Oh, we gotta help him." And then one of the guys is like, "Should we?" And then they go down there, and that's when we get the scene where they throw rocks back at each other. And then they're all pretty much a unit now, and so we have scenes where Stan sees, I forget which is who. One kid sees a homeless, snot-looking man, and then another one sees what? I totally forget. And then they go to a haunted house because they calculate that Pennywise lives in this old abandoned warehouse or house. So they all go there, and it's pretty much a haunted house movie at that point because Bill and Richie or Stan, one of them goes in with each other into a room, and then they get stuck and cut off, and then Pennywise scares them in that room, and in their room or scene they're getting scared, and so it's pretty much repetitive at that point, and literally a scene and towards the ending of that scene where Pennywise gets stabbed in the head by, I believe, Beverly. Pennywise does like a Freddy Krueger with his hand. Tries to morph into Freddy Krueger a little bit. Sorry, you ain't Freddy, Pennywise. And you're not wise to do that. But he pretty much slashes across Ben's stomach, or side of his stomach. I'm like, he's bleeding out, and he's still just like standing around calm as they're arguing with each other. And then even one of the kids points out, Ben is literally bleeding, and we're all, yeah. I'm like, wow, how is he not hurt right now? I mean, I guess he is hurt, but he's not really selling it. And then they all break up. I think it's supposed to be, September at that point, or August, I believe, and they all go their separate ways, and then Beverly wants to sneak out, I guess, and then her dad tries to, I guess, beat on her, or start doing stuff to her, but then she stops it, and then runs off, hits him in the head with something, and then knocks him. I don't know if he's dead or just knocked out, because his head's bleeding, but then she turns, and then Pennywise grabs her. So she's kidnapped, and then the boys have to band together and go back to save her. And they do that, and pretty much they beat the crap out of Pennywise, and then they let him get away because I don't know. And we have to have a second part. And then they do a blood oath or a blood pact to return if Pennywise ever comes back, I guess. And they all leave, and then it's just Bev and Bill, because apparently they want to trick the audience where, oh, we're going to have actually Beverly and Bill be together. But then in the next part, it's not going to be them. So then she's like, I guess she's supposed to be moving away from her dad, which I'm like, good on you. And Bill decides to kiss her, and then she kisses him back, and then she leaves, and then he smiles, and then it cuts the It credits, and the title name, and then it's this credits. And then I'm like, okay, what's so scary about this movie? Seriously, what is so scary that people literally crap their pants or cream themselves, I guess, for how scared they were, or they were just so excited they couldn't contain how scary this movie is, how terrifying there's more CGI in this movie. A lot. Which I'm like, why? Because at least in the 90s miniseries, that wasn't much of that. At least in the miniseries, it had a bit of stop motion in one scene, which was pretty cool. You don't get none of that in here. I think his look is changed in the second film a bit. But I don't know, I couldn't really get into this one much. Again, there's stuff I wish they would have done different, like, how about we kill Bill off and have one of the other guys or Beverly step up as the leader, but that's not in the book, so you can't do that. Again, if I wrote this movie and made it, people would probably hate it. It's too slow. Where the heck is Pennywise? But if you like the film, that's cool. I'm not bagging on anybody that likes it, or I respect that. But also, if anybody's interested in requesting videos such as movie reviews, commentaries on movies, or reaction videos, join my Patreon, or direct to my PayPal. Both links are down below. But yeah, I don't get the hype for this one. I really don't. I don't know when I'll do this chapter 2. Maybe if people want me to do chapter 2 right away, maybe I'll do it then. Anybody wants to leave comments down, do chapter 2. I'll do it right away, but yeah. Yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Granted, it was more of a rant on a movie a lot of people love. Which I have no problem with. If anybody likes it, that's cool. Just, I guess not for me. I like the second one more, but of course when I watch that, I'll probably have some ranting on that. But yeah, overall, thanks for watching. Take care. Peace and love. Like, comment, subscribe, share. And yeah, until next time, take care.